how do I do that? Like, I've never done that before, but I just said yes. I'm like, you know what? If my father could figure it out, if other people could figure things out, I can figure it out. And that's another big advice that I really want to give you guys, is that if one person can do it, so can you.
Welcome to the Shine Strategy Podcast, where entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business owners are getting visible and changing the world. I'm your host, Heather Burgett, an award-winning publicist, entrepreneur, and business mentor. Today's show is sponsored by PR Stars. For more inspiration and Shine strategies, head over to shineinsiders.com now for my free masterclass so that you too can get visible and go from local to global. Hey, Shine Insiders. Thank you so much for being here today, and thanks for listening to the show. We've been working so hard, pouring our heart and soul into these episodes, and I really hope that you're enjoying them. And we've got another great one coming up for you today. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly address something, because I see so many of you out there hustling, spinning your wheels, and just getting really frustrated with trying to get yourselves out there and reach your audience. And I'm taking a stand for you. I am here to pull back the curtain, share what I know about getting visible and impacting a global audience so that your customers can come to you, they can find you and come to you pre-sold for whatever it is you're putting out into the world. And we do that through publicity. So I'm opening my PR Stars Inner Circle for enrollment. If you think it's something that you might want to check out, I want you to head over to prstars.net and go to the PR Stars Inner Circle program and apply there. Now, you might be wondering, is it for me? You're not sure. If you are a small business owner, if you have a product, a service, a message, a movement, something you're putting out into the world, a nonprofit, yes, it is time. Yesterday was the time to be thinking about your PR. A lot of this is about releasing the past and illuminating your story. If you're a heart-centered business owner or creative who really wants to confidently make the world a better place with what you're doing, then you are in the right spot. You probably want to serve more people with your special gifts. You know you have a true calling, but you still feel like you're playing a little small. You really do want to make the world a better place, and you crave global awareness, and you know your business deserves it. And you might have thought at some point or another, free advertising NPR sounds like a good plan. So I'm here to show you how it's done, to help you, to support you, to help you go from unknown to known. And, you know, if any of this is resonating with you at all, please go over to prstars.net and just check out the Inner Circle. See what's there for you, what's available, the support, the resources. If you want to get to know me a little better and work with me personally, that is a place to go and do that. So again, prstars.net, and I look forward to seeing you over there. In the meantime, we're going to dig into this amazing episode today, so here we go. Hello, Shine Insiders. Thank you so much for being here today. I have a wonderful guest for you. She's a celebrity chef, Alina Z. She's originally from Russia. She came here at the age of 15 with a dream to start a new life and build a fulfilling career, and that she did. Flash forward 20 years, and she has accomplished her dreams by becoming an award-winning health coach, nutritionist, author, private celebrity chef to billionaires, pro athletes, and movie stars. She has a book, Single and Hungry. It's a realistic guide to food and self-love. She has a podcast. She has a #1 best diet that was voted by Harper's Bazaar magazine. And she's appeared in countless media outlets from Allure to InStyle, People, Shape, Vogue, LA Times, and so many more. And we're so fortunate to have her here today to share with us her genius. So Alina, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. I sound really cool. I'm listening to you. I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, kudos to you. And I mean, that was just like a fraction of the bio. I always have to try to pull out like the really cool pieces, but there are so many more as well. So I'd love to dig in with you and take us back to, I mean, you have an incredible story. So maybe we should just start there. Take us back to Russia. I want to hear a little bit about this journey that you've had.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm going to sound like Sophia from Golden Girls. Picture this, Sicily, 1954. Picture this, Russia, 1980. When I was born in 1980, we actually were homeless. We didn't have a place. My mom had to move from one communal room to another. And we finally got our own apartment when I was 2. And I had a normal childhood up until I was 10 years old or so, because my father, and I want to share his story because people who are listening, I know that you're interested in growing your business and you want to achieve things that you don't maybe know how to. And I did the same. I felt the same, but I have this story that really helps me, and I think it will help you because I've seen it firsthand that you can achieve your dreams and you don't need to know where you're going or how you're going to get there. You just know that you need to follow your passion and your dream. And sounds like Flashdance, take a passion and make it happen. And as you know, Heather, that's my ringtone.
I know you love that song.
I love that song. That's my song in the morning. Take your passion, make it happen. And so that's what my father did when Russia was still a communist country. He was working for a clothing factory, and he saw there were so many opportunities, but you couldn't take them if you worked for the government company. So he took his own money and he he rented this old basement room and these old sewing machines that they were throwing out, and he hired people to make children's clothing. Then one day in the newspaper, he read that these Americans were coming to Russia. This was at 1988, so just starting to peek into Russia. These 2 Americans were coming and they wanted to give grants to 2 Russian businessmen. And this was in Moscow. My dad read it, and so many, thousands of people were applying for the grants. But we know what he did. This is, to me, how you should go about your business. He took my mom, me, my grandfather. He bought us train tickets, and he took us to Moscow, all of us. We found the hotel where they were staying at. He waited in the lobby for these guys to be walking through. He approached them and he said, listen, I have this great idea in St. Petersburg to take an abandoned dormitory from military times, from the war times, military dorm, and turn it into a clothing factory. And they were like, okay, great, send us information. And he's like, no, you're already in Russia. Why don't you come with me to St. Petersburg and I will show you? They were like, you know what? This guy has enthusiasm, which is a huge key to being an entrepreneur. And he has passion and he has an idea. He has a plan. Let's do this. So they came to St. Petersburg with him and with us. And they loved the project. They gave him the money and he made it happen. He turned it into a clothing factory. And then when he paid off the grant, he started to invest the money that he was making, my parents actually, both of them, that they were making into other businesses. And by that time, they were allowing privatization in Russia. So you could buy businesses and buildings. And my father just started investing and buying businesses and growing them and creating new ones. And by the time 1995 came around, I was 15. We were the 3rd richest family in Russia. We had 47 businesses. And my parents were, running this huge empire. And that was incredible, within 7 years to see the huge turnaround. So from that early childhood, I knew firsthand that if you have a passion, if you have a dream, if you have a plan, you can make it happen, but you have to take action. You have to take inspired action, bold action. The thing was that it gotten too big, I think, for me. And I left. I decided to leave Russia because I was always living, as my parents' daughter. I was known as my parents' daughter. And I had the entrepreneurial spirit. I wanted to make it on my own and be known as me. I felt like from that movie, Coming to America, I just wanted to be liked for who I was and not be known as my parents' daughter, like I said. So I came to America and I went to a Quaker high school. My parents didn't speak English, so I called the school. I applied on the phone. I applied via fax, bought tickets, came here, stayed here, got myself a guardian.
So your parents stayed?
My parents stayed in Russia.
So you came here on your own at the age of 15 and you left this safe sort of, I guess, bubble, you could say, you said that you had bodyguards and all of these things happening.
But the bodyguards, people go, oh my God, that is so glamorous, you have bodyguards. There's nothing glamorous about bodyguards except that you have a friend with you all the time and that's super fun. and you'd be like, hey, I'm hungry. Can you go get me something to eat? And they're like, no. But you're like, please. And then they leave me with my mom's bodyguard, and my bodyguard would go get me food, a candy bar, actually. Let's be honest. I was sending them for candy bars. And that was cool.
Didn't they also have to go with you to your prom?
Well, we didn't have a prom, but they had to go with me to parties. They would just wait at the door. But when I had like a first date, like a double date with my best friend and this guy, his best friend, and my bodyguard, so behind us, that was very romantic.
Not very romantic. I mean, this is incredible. So you went from going from virtually nothing, having nothing, to being this very well-known, well-to-do family. And I think you had said, there was one piece of the story I remember that you said when you first started, you had such little money that your mom couldn't even afford to get her shoes repaired because she didn't have a second pair to wear home from the cobbler.
Yes, that was when I was very little. My mom couldn't leave me at home alone. She couldn't go to get her shoes fixed because, she only had one pair of boots, and she could only afford like onions to make me soup with. And people laughed. They're like, that's not possible. I'm like, that is very possible. And that is what happened. I don't remember it physically, obviously, because I was like 2 years old, 3 years old. But yeah, I've been through like nothing and then everything. And then when I came to America, my mom decided later in the next year to come here and live here. She left everything for my father. And my father couldn't handle all of the businesses because it was a lot. And Russia was a pretty dangerous place back then. And he lost everything. Things were stolen from him. The businesses were stolen from him. It was really, really sad. And he actually lived on the couch at my grandmother's house because he didn't have anything. Like literally, he had nothing. Also because of the 1998 the crash in the stock market in Russia, and because the things were stolen from him, we had nothing again. And then my mom got remarried, and because they got divorced because my father decided not to come to America. And my mom worked at Michael's Arts and Crafts for $6.25 an hour with my grandmother's with Alzheimer's sitting next to her at work.
Wow.
And she was making flower arrangements. Yeah, and I worked at the library at University of Maryland for $4.25 an hour. And you know what? We were happy. We just lived, and we lived in a free country because Russia is not a free country. There's no freedom of speech, really. There is no respect for human rights. So it's not a free country. It's a very much of a dictatorship like it used to be, and the mentality, unfortunately, is still there. And my stepfather at the time, he asked my mom, what is it that you want to do now that you live in America? And she said, what do you mean? And he's like, this is America. You can have anything if you have a dream. Sounds like a Disney, right? Cartoon. But it's true. And she's like, well, when I was a young girl, I used to love to paint. I would love to paint. He's like, there you go. You should go paint. Learn, take classes, learn to paint. And my mom started painting. She became a really successful muralist, and she started her business in America. And then she went back to Russia many years later, and she found one business that was still there, that was taken from my father, but not from her. And she fought for it, and she won it back, and she was able to sell it later and retire. So that's my mom's story. And meanwhile, I was at University of Maryland. Before that, I was at a community college because we didn't have money. And, there's no shame in that. You just have to do what you have to do. You have to, I got accepted to Drexel University. I realized money was short, and my mom needed help with my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. And I was like, I'm going to stay in Maryland and go to community college and then go to University of Maryland later. Which actually didn't get accepted on the first try for the next semester because I slacked in my senior year in high school because I got accepted to Drexel in early admissions. But that's okay. Again, like everybody has setbacks. In college, I worked really hard, and I then went to Parsons School of Design for my third year, and I graduated from Parsons. And I got a scholarship to them, and I got financial aid and student loans, and followed my dreams, and then later got a master's in public communication. And one day when I was having lunch with a friend of mine from school, we were talking about what we want from our careers. And I liked my career, but I didn't love it. I did marketing and PR and advertising, but I sat in the office a lot. And we were having lunch, and she said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, we should do what we love to do. And for example, I love to eat and I love to talk. That's what I want to do. And she's like, I love football and I love to talk. So I got a job as a VP of marketing for a catering company. And my job was to literally go out, talk to people and eat and entertain them by bringing them to our offices and eat with them or go out to events and eat there. And she got a job in NFL in PR. So the thing is, again, like there's a theme, right? You have a passion, you figure out what your passion is, and you just go for it. You make it happen, or you let it happen. Then I was in that industry, and I was eating. And you know what happens when you eat a lot? You don't feel so good. And I got addicted to sugar and chocolate, and that wasn't good. And so I started going on diets and trying every single diet, and we all know diets don't work, and I tried like everything. And then I decided to actually go to nutrition school to learn more about like where do diets come from. And meanwhile, I started a TV show in Maryland, entertaining A to Z for people who don't cook but like to eat. And everybody's like, that's me. So I was like, well, that's me too, people. So let's do it together. I learned from my chefs at the catering company, and I would share my knowledge on TV. And then I decided to go to nutrition school, which was in New York. And at the same time, decided that I didn't want to live in DC because I wanted to be where the palm trees were and enjoy my life while I was young and still looked good in a bikini. So naturally, I moved to Florida, where my parents were at the time, and commuted to school in New York, and then started my business as a health coach, and then went to Raw Food Academy to learn about raw food because like I'm one of the laziest people I know, and I like dessert, and apparently raw desserts were healthy, and because they're raw vegan, there's no cooking and you can eat them right away. So I'm like, they taste amazing, they're good for you, there's no cooking. I'm like, where do I sign up, right? And you have energy. I became a raw vegan chef, and then a celebrity I was chatting with randomly, like just about stuff, and I mentioned this is what I do, and she's like, oh, tell me more. And then she's like, do you want to cook for me? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And then I come home and like, how do I do that? Like, I've never done that before, but I just said yes. I'm like, you know what? If my father could figure it out, if other people could figure things out, I can figure it out. And that's another big advice that I really want to give you guys is that if one person can do it, so can you. Like, we all have pretty much same abilities. And if you think, well, no, some people have more abilities than others. Well, okay, yeah, that's true. But there was this guy who just died. He was like 3 feet tall. He was a huge motivational speaker. Even though he couldn't walk, he was in a wheelchair a lot. And there's that Nick, the inspirational speaker, who doesn't have any feet and any arms. And A, he's a motivational speaker for millions and millions. And B, he's married with 3 kids. And all the kids have all the limbs. So it's like, and he has like Life Without Limbs, I think the book is. So like everybody can do whatever they can. And even like I saw this one movie documentary at the event that you hosted, Heather, and you invited me in Hollywood, the Hollywood Film Festival, about this man who never walked a step in his life because he had disabilities. He was in a wheelchair his whole life, and he was a coach for football. And he coached huge athletes because he was so passionate about football. He didn't let it stop him that he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
You can take your passion and make it happen. You really can. That's what I've been doing. And right now I'm a new step in my career. I moved to LA 3 years ago with my clients. I've been a private chef ever since and created a food line in Russia. In Kazakhstan, I opened the first juice bar. Like you said, I have the #1 best diet in America. 2015, and now I'm creating a new endeavor, and I get really upset about these girls who are following everybody on Instagram, and they're these beautiful influencers, and they look the same, and they look beautiful, and all these young girls all around the world are watching them and having such low self-esteem because they're trying to aspire to someone who is living their life fully, but only partially on Instagram and social media. So you don't see the other parts, the insecure parts, and we all have insecure parts. And I was just talking to this young man who's 23, and he shared with me some really deep pains in his life. And he's like, but I'm the only one who has them. Like everybody that I know is perfect. And this guy is like 6'3", handsome, wealthy, comes from a wealthy family, has Ivy League education. And I'm like, that's because you think that way, because everybody looks at you and they think you're perfect because you look perfect and you have a perfect life, as it seems. Nobody's going to share their feelings and their doubts and their insecurities with you. They already feel insecure with just being near you. And my passion is to help these young people who have so many insecurities, more than I had in my early 20s, because thank God we didn't have Instagram and social media. Like I was insecure as it is. Like I used to think I was fat, and I'm looking at myself. I was 113 pounds. I thought I was fat. I was 107 at one point, and I'm 5'6". And I was like, okay, 107 is good, but maybe just a couple more pounds to lose. Like, like it's crazy. And my happiness level was like down, not zero, but deep inside, like it was constantly a struggle with my weight, even though I'm like, I looked good, but I was never stick skinny like a model. And that's okay, And I want to inspire younger women to love themselves, to really love themselves, and to eat food that loves them back, and to not harm themselves with bad thoughts or bad food, and to know what the good food is and how to make it. And that endeavor is actually very scary to me, because like I have no idea how these young women communicate to each other. How do they follow me? Like, how do they find me? How can I get them interested in learning from me? That's a huge endeavor, because before, I get it. Like, you get on a train, you find the people, they live in this hotel, you pitch to them. The same in PR world, like, the journalists, like, here's my pitch, here's the story idea. But like, how do you pitch yourself to a young girl? How do you make her follow you? How do you help her? Like, this is a completely unknown territory for me. And I'm really excited to go and jump into that new way of helping change the world for a better place, because that has been my drive. I want to help people. I want to make the world a better place while having fun.
So are you using your social media, to connect? I know you do a lot of videos. Like, how are you working to make that connection?
So right now, I invested my own money in a company that's producing my videos, and we go out twice a month, and then 4 times a month I do videos at home, cooking videos. And the 2 videos, we go out to restaurants and I show, like, here's how to get the best Beyond Meat burger for different price points and different types of locations. Or today we actually went and how do you eat steak, real meat, because I do eat meat. And here's how I eat it, and here's how, like, to make the best choices. So I share that information, and right now I'm building content, sharing it on Instagram, going out. I went to this really amazing event called Founders Made. We met amazing women, different ages, and connecting with them, collaborating with them. That's my idea. And, helping them, and them helping me to, not even helping me, because honestly, I'm already happy and I love my business, and it's more of a calling to help them. So I hope that I can align with people we can do it together. But yeah, I honestly don't know other ways except for connecting with women, sharing my content that I'm creating, and then also creating content for those women. So like, if you're listening and you are struggling with self-love, self-acceptance, and your inner joy, and you don't know what to eat, or you're eating foods to compensate for lack of joy, or if you're eating foods to make yourself feel better and you feel addicted to that, then message me and let me know, how can I help you? What are your challenges? What kind of food you like to eat? Because I know, we all have the same challenges of self-acceptance, and just inspiring women through content on social media is a one way to do it, with inspirational quotes. But I also want to help with realistic tips and realistic recipes, because everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs to eat, but eating for your skin, eating for your body type, eating for your happiness, like, that's what I would love to help. So if you need support with that, just let me know, and I can create videos to address those points in particular that you need.
I love that. And I think, you're so doing it. And, with your book, Single and Hungry, which is all about the relationship to food and loving yourself first. And everything I see you put out there in the world, I'm always so impressed with, because you do have such an enthusiasm for life and food and what you do. And you're also very realistic, which is in the title of your book, that, we like to have desserts. We like to have treats. We sometimes we are lazy and don't want to cook. So it's all very practical advice, but, from a very healthy lens of how to actually take care of your body. So that alone just feels like you're doing so much for people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And people don't know this about me, and I really want to promote it more so people can relate, but I'm really, really lazy when it comes to cooking at home because I'm a Taurus. And I'm a Leo rising, so I don't know if you guys know about astrology, but Leo rising, I want to be there in the world. I want to help people, so I go out and I cook for my clients, and I absolutely love it. I love, love, love it.
No wonder we get along. I'm Taurus with Leo moon.
Oh my God, there you go. My moon is in Scorpio, so that's where the self-love or the self-doubt before comes in. So there's depth and darkness, and so the Leo in me wants to go out and help people, and the Taurus in me comes home, and I leave the house as a Leo, come back as a Taurus, and I'm like, there's a couch and in yummy blankets, and I don't want to get off the couch, and there's Netflix, and I don't want to cook. And then the Taurus in me gets, I'm hungry, feed me. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to make for myself? And I'm sure I'm not the only one. And that's where I really want to share that, because the other day I made this recipe, four ingredients, and it took me minutes. And I had friends over and I made it, and they were like, oh my God, this is so good. And I wanted to fight them for it. I'm like, that's a big mistake. Do not make anything yummy that you have to share, or make more of it, because I just didn't make enough. But no, I was happy to share. I'm always happy to share, actually. I regret it later, but I'm happy to share. I'll just get hungry afterwards. But I'm going to share this recipe. I'm going to make that recipe on Saturday. I'm going to make enough because my mom is coming on Friday night, and she's probably going to want some of that. And I'm like, I got to make enough for both of us. But yeah, I am very lazy. That's the point. And there's my initials inside the word lazy, AZ. And my life is crazy, also AZ in there. So I make everything easy with a Z. So there's AZ in there. So I'm everywhere. I'm in the crazy, lazy, and easy. And I do couture. And I also want everything pretty. So I want to make it pretty. I want to make it fabulous. And I want to make it quick. And I want to make it easy. And I'm like, oh my God, does it actually exist? But I've been doing it for so many years. So I guess it does exist now.
I love that. And, the avocado chocolate mousse is one of my favorite recipes of yours that I've tried.
Right.
And I think that's only 4 or 5 ingredients too, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy. You just put stuff in a blender and you blend that sucker. And
it's done.
It's done. The thing about real chocolate, not real, not that it's not real, but conventional chocolate mousse, you make it with cream, you make it with egg, and it's you have to stand there and whip everything, and then you have to heat everything, and then you have to make sure that it goes in the right temperature at the right time, and it takes so much time and effort, and then you have to cool it down because it was hot. And this chocolate mousse, you just whip it up all in a blender, and it's
what,
done. Avocado, cacao powder, a sweetener of your choice like agave or coconut nectar, and then almond milk and vanilla, and maybe a dash of salt, which is very important, actually. Salt is important. So 6 ingredients, including salt. And the recipe is on my YouTube channel, in my book as well. And yeah, you just blend it and you eat it. You take it out, you eat it. Then you add some more almond milk into the blender, and you blend the remaining little parts on the sides of the blender, and you get a chocolate milk, and your blender is partially washed. So
very practical. I love that.
Very practical.
Well, and something I'd love to touch on too is, and we, just so everyone knows, we also did some work together, and you had a background when I met you. You knew a lot about marketing PR and already had achieved some great PR results for yourself and your business. And then we worked together on your book launch, and being that you had the background in PR and that you've gotten so much press over time, can you speak a little bit to how that getting actual press coverage has helped or impacted your business?
Oh my God. Well, you were so terrific in helping me with the book launch. And we did get the Los Angeles Times right in time for Valentine's Day. They were doing a special on books and love. So it was so perfect that I was featured there. And then you got me in so many different magazines and you got me in front of so many celebrities. We had something, I can't even remember. There were so many. It was last year. And, you also introduced me to so many people to build new relationships with. So I think PR is an integral part of that, because here is the thing that where I am now and where I was before, and I think for every entrepreneur, you have to do PR with you, Heather. And I love your approach to it, because when we first met, you said that you wanted to you were working only with brands that were making a difference in the world and not just, trying to sell products. And when you get PR, and this is why I majored also in PR, because you get exposure to people who are experts in their field. And when you have a journalist who's tried different things and she has so many pitches and she picks you, that's a huge validation that your product is legitimate, that has value. And PR is not paid. Those journalists are being honest. They're not being paid to promote anybody. And to have that credibility, that's how you build credibility. Because now when I'm going to, promote my services or my inspiration or whatever to people, they're like, well, who are you? Because you know how many Instagram influencers there are? Hundreds, if not thousands, probably. And yeah, they might have a huge following, but do you know maybe they paid for it? How do you know you can trust them? But if you get PR and then you go to pitch to those journalists who have thousands of other pitches. Oh, you got me. That's what I was like, so huge. You got me on ABC, which is huge. On ABC here in LA, 2 segments. And if that expert, who is also a nutrition specialist and a journalist, she comes to my house and she picks my food, my recipe to promote to her viewers, that is a huge, huge credibility boost. That says like, wow, like, oh, Harper's Bazaar said my diet is number 1. Like, that's amazing, because I didn't have to go around and actually like sell myself to people to try. Like, well, just send it to her, here, see how you like it. And she's like, oh my God, that's amazing. And they named us number 1 best diet. And now I have credibility, so I can have other people hear me and really pay attention. I'm not just somebody off the street who's like, I'm going to be an influencer now.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime anyone can get that third-party stamp of approval from the press, from the media, from an editorial standpoint, that's the difference being that's what we call earned media versus advertising, which is paid media. That's such a boost for your credibility and authority. And I mean, when people go to your website, they're going to see like you just have so much great press coverage from over the years, and it's really, really impressive. So while we're on it, why don't you tell people how they can find you online?
Super easy, alinaz.com, ALINAZ.com, or my social media on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter is Chef Alina Z, and my YouTube is Alina Z Show. Or you can just look me up on YouTube, Chef Alina Z as well, and I come up and you'll see my recipes. And if you guys like pasta and meatballs that slims down your tummy, you can check out my latest recipe of pasta and meatballs that came out so good. After the video was like, oh my God, I ate like almost all of them. They were so delicious. And my mom was like, you have to make it for me. My father, I keep calling him stepfather, just got adopted a few months ago. So now he's my father.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's like, when you're coming here to Florida, you're making that for me. I was like, okay. No, I'm happy. I'm happy to cook for my family.
How does it slim you down?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So the meatballs are made with Beyond Meat. So it's pea protein. And unlike regular meat, it doesn't take as long time to digest. And then the pasta is lentil pasta, which is also rich in fiber and protein. And you feel really full. You feel really satiated, but it moves quicker through your body. And it has so much nutrition because we added greens in the mix there too. And you just feel full and you don't eat as much. And you go to the bathroom more.
So the vegan piece is key for the weight loss.
Here's the thing, and it's been challenging for me in the past too, because I am known as a detox specialist and as I'm trained as a vegan chef, but I make all kinds of foods and fish and meat. I do eat fish and I do eat meat sometimes because I need it for my bioindividuality, but I love vegan food because it is just so good for you and it makes you feel good. But it's all about moderation, I think, balance, and it comes down to couture nutrition, and that's something that I trademarked 5 years ago, actually. Couture nutrition means that everything has to be made for your body type, for your lifestyle. Yes, I did those meatballs because you can probably find a recipe of meatballs that are regular conventional meat. I was craving Beyond Meat at the time, but like I said, today we did a video with like regular meat. So you can substitute. You just have to listen to your body. But that's the hardest part, I think, for people to really listen to their bodies, because their bodies are addicted to a lot of stuff. And they're like, well, my body tells me I should go eat a pint of ice cream. And I totally get that. But your body might not crave the ice cream in particular. Your body might be saying, hey, I need sweetness because my life is really bitter right now. I'm craving ice cream because I'm really overheated because I've been going so much. I'm craving ice cream because I need fat because my brain is tired and I need the fat. And I'm craving ice cream because I need soothing stuff, because I feel really tired and I need nourishment. So when I say listen to your body, you really need to know what is your body telling you.
And I love that, you bring up this sort of the issues of, trying to eat vegan or not eat vegan. And, that's something I struggle with because I wish I could be a vegan, but I actually end up craving sort of meat products or fish and meats. And so I sometimes call myself a meat-eating vegan, which I know makes absolutely no sense, but because I vacillate and I will do kind of vegan or vegetarian for a little while, and then I'll go back to the meats. And so, we've talked about this, like I try to always do consciously raised or organic.
Yes.
Antibiotic, hormone-free type meats or products, or animals that were consciously raised and humanely raised, which you don't always know, but you can pretty much guarantee from the smaller farms and not the commercial production processes that we have now in our food system, that generally if it's a smaller family farm, that there is going to be a better quality of life for the animals. So what are some of your thoughts around that?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I just learned about this company called Butcher's Box, and they deliver meat to your house. They ship it in boxes with ice. And not only are animals raised in good humane conditions and pasture raised, they see the sun, they eat the grass, they're treated humanely and with love, but when it comes to, letting them go, or killing them, they do it in a humane way, and other animals don't watch it, don't see it. And I think that is such a big part, because animals, they're smart. They can feel pain, and when other animals are suffering, they can feel that and they can understand that. That's heartbreaking. And it's been and it still is, I don't know how to heal it fully yet, but I have this enormous amount of guilt that I have to take somebody's life to extend my own, because if I don't eat meat, then I have nosebleeds, I feel faint, and I cannot be out, and who knows how I'm gonna live, really. But I thought about it and I thought, okay, first of all, if I only buy animal protein from animals who were humanely raised, who had a good life, just like one bad morning, one bad evening, whatever, like one bad moment, right? Also, those animals, did those souls chose those bodies for whatever karmic destiny they had to take, and they went on to the next life. They went on to the next journey in their soul's evolution. I just have to honor that and be grateful. So every time I eat something that comes from an animal, I say thank you for the sacrifice. And also, I don't eat meat often. I'll eat like red meat maybe once a week. I used to try to eat meat once every 2 weeks, but then I get faint. I feel faint. I want to pass out. I get nosebleeds. So I have to make myself eat meat once a week. and plant-based the rest of the time, and I eat fish maybe a couple times a week as well. But let's say I do that, and there's this guy Joe in Wisconsin, and he eats meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 3 days, 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And I tell Joe, listen, here's information, here's the knowledge. Why don't we cut that down to 1 time a week, 2 times a week? So he already reduces his consumption because I have energy to teach him and other people like him, because I eat meat once a week. I, in the long term, will reduce the meat consumption because people like Joe will relate to me, understand me, and not be like, oh, it's just some vegan chick who's trying to make me give up my meat. But really, I'm telling him, listen, I want you to feel good about your body. I want your body to feel good. I want the world to feel good, the planet to feel good. I want you to only spend your money on animals that had good lives, so you're doing something good for them. Overall, I'll make a bigger impact and save more animals if I do that. But if I don't eat meat, then I'll be bedridden with nosebleeds and nobody will listen to me and I won't make a change in the world. So that's where I'm coming from. Like, that's my rationale, and I'm sticking to it because that feels authentic to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I actually have a very similar philosophy, is that I look to the Native Americans and I always give gratitude and bless and thank my food when it's, for nourishing me. And I'm such an animal lover. And I know some people say, well, how can you be a meat eater and an animal lover? And trust me, you can. So that piece of it, I feel like the blessing of it also transmutes, a lot of people, the yogis talk about the fear in the animal and the energy. And I feel like when you bless something, it does transmute it.
Yes.
And what you said too about like the karmic or the sort of like soul's journey and choice, like that, I do believe that as well, that our souls, we choose to come and incarnate into whatever life this is. And that's the same for every living creature. And it's not my place to take away their journey or their lessons or their choices. And that's a gift that they have chosen to nourish the rest of us.
Exactly.
So often put our human like emotions onto the animals, right?
Right. And you know what? I think being compassionate is so important. But, the distinction that I want to make, and I'm learning to not feel bad about this, Heather. But the distinction I'm making, because my mom and I have conversations about it all the time. She's she's pescatarian. She'll eat fish once in a while. But, when I'm like, Mom, I have to eat meat, I don't care if you're going to be watching or not. But she keeps reminding me, you're not doing it for fun. You're not eating animals for fun. You're doing it because you need to survive. You're eating animal protein for medicine. And if that's what your body needs, that's what your body needs. Gorillas, they eat bugs. Chimpanzees eat other monkeys. So some people need animal protein. And I'm not saying they're good or bad. I'm just saying that's how they are. And I think it's we have to do it consciously with awareness. And as long as we do it with that, and we do it for our survival, not for entertainment, then that's what you have to do, because that's your survival.
And I think it's also with where you choose to spend the money. And I do prefer to pay a little more for food that I know was raised on a small farm and taken better care of, because the commercial farming processes, the way they do it are pretty horrific. I mean,
oh my God. You know what? It makes me cry every time. Like I can't even watch it because I've seen so many things on videos.
Yeah,
but
the documentaries and it's terrible.
Oh my God. I did a video today. And I said, here, and I'll give you guys this in advance, my 3 tips to eating meat, okay? Number 1 is quality. Always go for the best quality, pasture-raised, humanely butchered, killed, humanely treated, and they had the best life, no antibiotics, no hormones. And yes, you'll pay more, but here's the rule number 2, less quantity. So more quality, less quantity. Let's say you spend $8 on 2 steaks right now at the store. I don't know how much they cost. I'm just saying, I don't know, buy steaks anyway at the store. But imagine $8 for 2 steaks, but organic, humanely raised is 1 steak for $8. I'd rather you buy half the quantity of the meat and then have half of that, because it's going to be better for you anyway to eat less. But you get the quality, you get all the benefits of the meat, and it will nourish your body, and it won't do harm to our planet. And the 3rd rule is to always, always, always have quadruple the amount of vegetables on your plate as much as you have meat. Those are my three, or triple. Let's say triple. Let's rule number 3, so we'll triple. Triple the amount of your vegetables comparing to how much meat you're having to make sure that you're getting all your nutrition from plant-based sources. But, if you want to save money, you just need less. You don't need to eat meat for breakfast. Like, people eat chicken sandwiches for breakfast, or like they eat eggs and bacon and steak, and for lunch they have a chicken salad or chicken sandwich, and for dinner they have like fish or turkey. That's so much protein. Like, it doesn't have chance to get digested unless you have tiny little portions, because your stomach is like the size of your fist. So do the math, and then you look at people who overdo it in, let's say, Texas, and they eat steaks all the time. They're not that healthy. They're not healthy looking. They don't have energy. And they're such amazing human beings. Everybody's an amazing human being. And we have such amazing bodies. Our bodies breathe on their own, heart beats on their own, blood flows on our own. Like, let's treat our bodies with respect and dignity as well, and give the body the required amount of protein, the required amount of vegetables. And it ain't a steak a day, or 16-ounce steak a day for sure. So
yeah, and I love your philosophy too on it. I think you say that it's about having food that's healthy for you, and it's good for your body, but actually tastes good, and it's also good for the planet, because when you're making those smarter decisions about your food, I mean, there's so much waste and byproducts of food industry that's polluting our environment and destroying our environment, like just the methane alone from all of the factories where the cows are raised and slaughtered, and that to me is so important with what's going on in our world and our environment. So I love that you also bring that piece into it when you're talking about food. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, when I teach people, I don't want to bring all the negativity and all of the sadness. So I'm like, here's chocolate mousse. Eat the darn chocolate mousse and brownie. And then the people go, oh, that tasted good. What else you got? And I feel like people get into the conversation when they get a piece of dessert. So if you want to start seeing what it's like, have some raw vegan dessert and just see what it's like, because you might be missing out if you haven't had it.
I love it. Well, this has been so informative and amazing, and I just love your energy and how you're so passionate and dedicated to helping others understand how they can have healthy food in their life that actually tastes good. I think that's part of the stigma, is people think that healthy food doesn't taste good, and you're really out there debunking that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. People say healthy food doesn't taste good, but so is not healthy food, because if you think of a raw chicken breast that I'm saying it might not be healthy, or chicken let's say drumstick. Drumstick is not healthy, but it tastes good. It's not the drumstick that tastes good, it's how you cook it. Because if you take a raw drumstick, I guarantee you're not going to eat it. So it does not taste good. It's just how you dress it up, it's how you accessorize it, and the same you can do with the same freaking chickpea. Just dress them up, fry them up, put the seasoning, gonna taste like chicken.
I love it. Yeah. And I've definitely tasted your cooking, and it's amazing. So anyone out there that is interested in having some tasty, delicious, healthy food that's good for your body and gives you energy, you've got to check out Alina's YouTube channel. You can go to her website, alinaz.com. You can get her book on Amazon, Single and Hungry, which has a number of recipes. I think there's over 30 some odd recipes alone in your book. So there's a lot of info out there on Alina, and definitely check her out. Follow her on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
At Chef Alina Z. Everything is Chef Alina Z, and YouTube is Alina Z Show.
Beautiful. Also, quickly before we go, your podcast. Tell us quickly about the podcast.
Well, the podcast is about miracles. And honestly, I did it for a very selfish reason. I wanted to remind myself that miracles happen and miracles exist. And I created a podcast called Miracles Happen. And it is for people who just need to be reminded that regular people like us, like you and I, we've had miracles happen. And I just interview people and they just tell me that was a miracle. And it's a great reminder that it can happen to one person. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to you.
I love it. Well, you're such an inspiration, Alina. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your energy with us today. And I hope you'll come back and visit us again soon and keep us posted on all the exciting things that are happening with you and your business.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to support you in any way. And whoever is listening, that's what I'm here for, to help.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Alina.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us today for the Shine Strategy Podcast. I invite you to join me at shineinsiders.com for a free masterclass where you can get more inspiration and strategies to get visible and change the world. Your voice matters. Please subscribe, rate, and share this show so we can continue to grow on this journey together. Until the next one, it's Heather Burgett, your Shine Strategist, signing off.